happen with your strokes?
Pretty much. I remember most things, some I don't, some I do. Just depends how hard I try to remember. What would you like me to
Well, do you
recall?
remember, well, all the first night? Do you remember that?
The first night of the strokes.
Yeah.
That was after I'd had all the mini ones. I was in the hospital. I went to get up to go to the toilet, which was pretty much what I always do. But I went all wonky in the toilet. I couldn't pull my pants down. Couldn't find the seat at first. And I thought I was just half asleep, so I took myself back to bed. And woke up, and it wasn't any better. It was a lot worse.
Right.
And it just went worse. It went downhill for a few hours till the doctors come and see me, and by then I was pretty much useless.
And that was the first major one.
That was the last major one.
Right.
First one, I was dizzy, I felt sick and very tired. So when I was having the dizzy spells, I got really tired and I took myself off to bed.
Mm-hmm. Were the doctors all right with you?
Yeah, pretty much. The neurologist said because I'd had diabetes, it was probably that I weren't looking after it properly. But nobody can really tell me what actually causes a stroke that you have.
Right.
Other than I had a clot in the brain.
Yeah, but you had really thick blood at the time.
Yeah.
And they had you on heparin for ages.
On heparin for 48 hours. And I got told the limit's 12. But there was nothing much they could do. It played up with my blood a bit because it'd be either too thin or too thick. And they said if we can't get it right, we don't know what the next step is. But obviously they got something right because I'm still here.
So you're in hospital for what, 3 weeks?
I was in hospital for 2 and then a week at rehab in the hospital.
What was rehab like?
Horrendous for me. Because I could walk a bit, I could talk a bit, I could use my left hand. I didn't see the reason why I should be in there. When there's a lot of people that have lost limbs through diabetes or brain injury. I just wanted to go home. I wasn't asked did I want to be at rehab. I just got told I'm going. So by the end of the week I said to them either you'd let me out or I'd let myself out. So the doctors had a talk and they let me out.
Now, what kind of exercises were they getting you to do in there?
Basically sitting down and standing up. They wanted me to get that in order, but yeah, how many times can you sit down and stand up? I did a bit of walking, but they didn't give me any real set exercises to do. Lift your arm up for my arm, but I only had that for one day. And after that, they pretty much didn't care what I did because they knew I was going home.
Alright.
But then when I got home, I did my own exercises. Leg lifts, ball.
Do you remember stacking the Connect 4 pieces up and down?
Yeah, we played that a lot, didn't we?
Did we do the frozen veggie thing? Just moving the frozen peas around and lining them up?
Yeah. I didn't mind doing occupational therapy in the hospital because that was stuff I needed day to day. All the other physical stuff I didn't need. Well, I didn't think I needed. I could have been a bit pig-headed, but they made me walk this track around the hospital,
Yeah.
and they said to me, if you don't make it, you don't go home. But I made it well ahead of time, because I basically sprinted it, and yeah, they let me out. Occupational was fun. You know, I drew a picture, and they couldn't believe I drew a picture with my right arm. It's pretty juvenile picture, but at least I drew it.
Yeah. What about your speech? How was that affected?
I slur a lot. At the moment it's not too bad, but then I have been sleeping a lot.
Yeah. No, when you first had your strokes, how bad was it?
Pretty bad. I had trouble getting what I wanted across. It sounded okay my end.
Yeah. And how'd you manage to fix that?
Did it on my own free will.
Oh, did you?
No, you wrote your books that you've written. You wrote them out by hand. I learnt to decipher your writing.
Oh, I don't think like that.
And I used a speech program.
Oh.
And with that, you've got to be very careful on how you say things. You've got to enunciate a lot. And I can say that now. But yeah.
Was that an enjoyable exercise? Or
No.
did I push you too much?
You pushed me far too much. But yes, it was. I enjoyed it very immensely. Still am. Only since we've been living in Beulah, we can't find anywhere really quiet.
Right, and speech recognition keeps cutting out the traffic.
Yeah. So I'm learning how to type again.
Right.
That's hard. Same as that's why I'm knitting and doing crocheting. It helps my fine motor skills.
Well, you're doing colouring in before you're knitting.
Yeah.
How many colouring in books did you collect?
Heaps.
How many stacks of pencils?
A ginormous amount of pencils. But I sort of outgrew that into knitting with wool.
And how much wool you got now?
About the same amount as I have in pencils. The only difference is wool takes up more space. So it's getting to the point of it's either wool or it's you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, the trailer's basically filled with wool.
So I can knit beanies.
Right.